Guys, Derek here. I'm going to talk about living kingdom. It's something that most people, I don't hear anybody really talking about it too much, because you're lucky to find somebody who actually believes it, who actually understands the gospel. And when you do find somebody, they're probably, I don't know, most people are not that lucky, I would say, to be around somebody who's actually talking about this. I'll just jump right into an example of living kingdom, and there's so many amazing examples that are coming up every day as I am faced with the decisions every day and every moment of, am I going to believe the lie or am I going to believe the truth? Correct me if I'm wrong, but being a Christian is believing a truth that we're all connected. There is a created value of everybody, and it exists deep down inside of them. They all want love. They all are seeking love and seeking truth and seeking Jesus, because they're seeking this amazing idea that life is amazing, this amazing idea that life is a gift, that actually God, the creator of life, loves us that much, right? People actually knew that. And so I could either believe that, which is basically being a Christian, or I could believe the lie, which is what the devil is throwing at us through the world and what we've grown up with. And that is that there is division, that there is stuff that exists, there are boundaries that people can cross. I can choose my own boundaries of how, when do I choose to love someone. It's either love your neighbor as yourself, or have boundaries and have limits. I find most Christians are having either A, they're going through the motions of love without actually loving, or B, they're making their boundaries a little bit more expanded, but the boundaries are still there. And that's how I lived for a long time. I'm like, I am a loving person, and when someone does me wrong, I'm going to go home and I'm going to be like, man, he did that thing, and I'm going to pray about it, and eventually I'm going to forgive them and hope they don't do it again, right? That's how a lot of people live, because we don't understand surrender. Surrender is getting rid of all the boundaries, all the lines, all the buttons, because we have Jesus to follow. Jesus' life teaches us that unforgiveness is unnatural. If we are created in God's image, we are created in our natural created value that He says we are is love. Love does not seek its own. Love never fails. So if that's true, and if Jesus came, that means anything that anybody does against you or me is them not knowing what they're doing. It's like when He died, Jesus died, He said, forgive them, they don't know what they do. They don't know who they are. So I didn't want to just preach. I mean, I'm sure that I could go on with that, but I'm getting to the point here is that, so when we're living kingdom, it's like we have these choices, right? Are we following God, or are we following ourselves? Are we living for God or ourselves? Living for yourself keeps you in a prison. Let me just give you an example. I like to go out, I like to play music. I like jam nights. I like to go jam at bars and stuff. So I went out to a bar, and there's somebody hosting the jam night, and they would do little things, they would make little comments that I could easily take the wrong way. They could not help me set up my keyboard, or they could not even, I don't know, do little things, right, that seem kind of like the truth is they are nervous or something, they are going through something, they don't know Jesus. It's so simple, knowing the truth, that at the core of any kind of lack of love from people, any kind of bad thing that they're doing to you, they don't know God. And it's it makes your life so simple to understand that, and to get away from all the stuff that the world teaches us about logic, and you have to understand, and it's all about trying to understand, and it's the gospel is so simple, and it just makes life such a relief. God feels good, okay? That's my channel name. What I'm saying is, living kingdom, heaven coming into you, is such a peace. It is a peace because I could go down that road, and when someone in the bar or whatever I'm doing does something against me, I could go down that road. I could try to think why they're doing that. I could judge them. I could presuppose. I could analyze, if I was a psychologist, what is causing them. Maybe he had issues when he was a young and blah, blah, blah. And I could be like analyzing why he did that. But all of that is just keeping sin alive. It's keeping sin against me alive because it's producing sin in me. It's producing judgment. It's producing a negative view of someone. And when I'm faced with these two choices, it's like somebody does something wrong against me. I used to do that. And all night I'm just like, man, I'm sick of people doing this. How am I going to get away? Why the world sucks in a bar? And it's like getting down this rabbit hole. I think it's interesting when people say like going down a rabbit hole, and they imply that means learning the truth. But what I'm implying with this channel is going down the rabbit hole of seeing the world for the truth. You're seeing all the evil, but you're actually getting a relief. You're seeing the light. There's light at the bottom. If we got to call it a rabbit hole, you're getting into the light, okay? Because the more that you see the truth, the more that you are in light. So, I mean, there's so many like subtle tricks of the devil that he does with our language. But let's say we're not going down a rabbit hole. Let's say we're coming to the light, okay? Because the light shows me that in that moment when I have a choice of whether to love this person, I can just say, it's a heart thing. It's like, I'm following God. I'm choosing right now to love this guy. I don't care whatever. I don't see him that way because it's all a lie anyway. It's all a lie. He's just doesn't know what he's doing. And nobody's probably loved him like God loves him. And me loving him right now is going to have a huge impact on him. Nobody's responded to his whatever insecure, like if I call it insecurity or if I call it whatever his result of his fallen man state that came onto me, like whatever it is, it's so simple. They don't know God. They don't know Jesus. And I'm just like, I'm going to love this guy because God told me to, and I love God. Bam. And I feel this, just like this relief. I feel like I'm looking at this guy with like my eyes kind of become loving. I don't know if you can understand what I mean, but like this guy is my brother, and I don't even know him. Maybe I met him a few times. Let's give you an example. And so the whole night, I'm not thinking about all that stuff that I talked about. I'm not thinking about how the world got blah and the world needs to blah. And that's all about me. That's all self-centered. And when it's about love and when it's about God, it's like there's no line to cross. There's no button to push. That's surrender. And that's following Jesus. That's being a Christian. That's promoting love. That's being a light in the world. That's stepping into purpose. That's stepping into legacy. That's stepping into meaning, and that will have an impact. People shining in love will have an impact on the world. People not giving up their rights to be offended will not. That's not shining. That's the opposite, right? So this is in a way suffering, Christian suffering, but it's in the same way it's like you're not suffering. You're taking some sin against you, but love is overcoming it. And so just like you want God to do that for you, let's look at the parable of the servant. I don't remember what it was, but it was in Matthew, or no, maybe Matthew, where the servant was forgiven everything that he owed the master, but then he did not forgive his servant for like a little bit, and he was cast out into a dark and painful place. So could we not interpret that as we're forgiven for everything, right? Why are we not becoming the forgiveness that was put into us? Why are we not becoming that? We're meant to become that. And I'm telling you that becoming that is the freedom, that becoming that is the peace that we're given as a gift. And that's kingdom living. That's just one example of living kingdom, and how I'm just talking logically how it sets you free, and how it's totally beats the other way that for example, that I used to be. If I'm living that way, let me just contrast, okay? Because this way, I'm making peace. I'm a peacemaker. Blessed are the peacemakers. And I'm living love, and I'm in the moment, and I'm having a great time. And I'm just like, I know that my decision to love this person is a decision that is so important, and it's like heaven will remember it. Heaven is applauding. And it's just like this amazing, like Solomon said, nothing new has been done under the sun, right? This is the only thing. Making peace and love is like the only thing that's new, that is significant and meaningful. Okay, so then I'm back to this. Do I need to go this way? Because you all probably know what it's like when you go anywhere. I don't know, somebody does you wrong. You, depending on who you are, what kind of person you are, how you respond. I mean, you're pretty much either victimized by it, or it makes you like a fighter, and it makes you like defensive. Unforgiveness is eating you away. It's a cancer, and it's killing us. It kills people, and it's like you would spend the day, probably the rest of the day, like brooding, wondering how you can get over this, wondering why that person did that to you. And because you have you that has been attacked, you want to defend you. So you want to like figure out why they are in the wrong, and just to reassure yourself that there's nothing wrong with you. And that again is because you don't really believe, when you're your own God, you don't really trust 100% when someone tells you that you're not great. There's no way to like truly trust that you are great no matter what. Like, you have to use your brain, to use logic to figure out why they're in the wrong, according to whatever your own see, it's already giving me a headache. According to your own principles of right and wrong, and how you define it, and what you value. And I don't even know, it's like, it's complicated living for yourself, and living in the fallen man state, and not and making that your way of life, and not surrendering. Like, living for yourself, it's a prison, and it's just painful, and it makes you sick. And like, come on, guys, come on. Surrender. Yeah, so I hope this was an interesting video. Let me know if you want me to keep going with that. I don't know, I like to kind of tell stories. Yeah, thanks guys for watching. Have a good one.